about 1.5 million catalogues every month to homes around Ireland. And it's 3 times a month. And but bloody hell, the results are insane. Now, they do exactly what you mentioned, Sian. It's all about time-bound offers, measurable. Like, how do they measure it? Making like that's when it works really well. But what I love about what they do and what we help them do is it's all so data-driven. The areas that the things are getting dropped to are matched to the digital campaigns.
Hey, I'm Jay Woodard. I am a creative director, photographer and videographer of the Ed32 agency based in the south of Ireland in Cork.
Hi, I'm Judie Russell. I'm a video coach and founder of the Vid Academy.
Hi, I'm Jen Bryan and I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer of a digital marketing agency called Velocity Growth.
Hi, I'm Sian Horn. I'm a business mentor and coach. I'm also the founder of the national network for women in business called The Club. And I also am the ambassador for Champion Green.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of Unbranded. As Sian just said, I'm the boss this week, which I don't know, is that smart? Knowing that our sponsor's on with us. Let's see how I do, I guess. But firstly, I want to welcome Jenny from Azure Communications, who Azure are our sponsor for the last few episodes and the next few episodes. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for supporting us and actually understanding our vision and just getting behind the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. Do you want to give the guys a quick spiel about Azure, just to let them know what you do? Because this podcast, we're kind of basing it on traditional marketing with social media going into 2024. Yeah. And I think because you kind of use traditional a lot as well, it'd be nice to kind of just let the guys know what you do as a whole.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So it's interesting topic for this one because we very much started off as a traditional marketing production agency. So print, in essence, is like in our DNA since the day we started. Like putting ink on paper is what we do and what we do really well. But like a lot of businesses, we've had to innovate. And over the last few years, we've added lots of different skill sets. We do a lot of digital marketing, a lot of traditional marketing outside of print, other kind of above the line and so on, things like that. And yeah, my background is in marketing. So I have been involved with the business for a number of years, but joined as the CEO just last September. So it's all go, go, go now. And hence why we're here as well and sponsoring the podcast. Like that for me is something that's so important and like up and coming, things like what you guys are doing. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant I've been listening. I'm learning so much from listening to you guys and I love it. And I think that's, what is we have a lot of big companies that we work with and a lot of big contracts in particular on the print side, but we're really keen to kind of, help more smaller businesses and work with more smaller businesses.
We appreciate the support. Thank you so much again. As I said, we're going to dive into traditional marketing with social media in 2024. We're going to keep our same kind of format, highlights, what pisses you off about it. Tell me something new in that world. Maybe the goals we all have for 24 in the idea if we are going to use some traditional mixed in with our whole marketing strategy. And I'd be very interested to hear what Jen Byrne has to say about traditional because obviously she's all in on digital. So I'd be very interested to hear what she said that. But if then at the end, if you have some questions for us, if you're in like that, Jenny, I should say. See, we said before the podcast started, we're going to call Jen Byrne JB and Jenny Mazur Jenny. So I'm trying to work that out in my head as well. So Sian, let's start with yourself. Highlights of the year so far have you seen any campaigns that kind of blew your mind with traditional, with the use of social or vice versa, like that?
Do you know what? Sorry, I thought when you sent this to me, it was my highlight of the year. So actually,
go for that. I'm happy with that too.
Yeah. Do you know, well, I kind of use both in my businesses. So, if I look at the demographic for Elite Pilates, it's a real local business. So traditional advertising works really well for us because we're really not selling to the whole country. We're very small, tight knit. People have, they will only travel so far to go to the best Pilates class in Cork City. So traditional works really well there. And Mail Drop, actually, we went back to it last year for the first time pre-COVID. And it was really successful for us. And I think how you use that is really, really important. You need to see that it worked for you. So call to action on those kind of leaflets or, newspaper, you want to see where the return is coming from. And then the rest for me is all obviously digital. And I suppose where I'm seeing success in my own business and in the club women's network is this time 12 months ago, if I was in Galway or Dublin or, away from Cork, people wouldn't have known. I spent a lot of time explaining myself, educating people. But Christmas was really the first time I went to Gifted, and every stand I went to, people knew what I was and what I did. And that's all through that social side. So yeah, both work and both have been a highlight for me in the last 12 months.
Nice. Judie?
So I haven't worked on a lot of traditional campaigns in the past 12 months, but I worked on one that was really effective a few years ago. So we were trying to promote an event, a Cork-based event, and then we got a table at another event a month prior. So we had a similar audience that we could kind of outreach to, and they were going to be passing our table. So I was like, what could we do that's memorable? And we were trying to think like, flyers, like we could give out key rings. I was looking at seed bombs at the time because, there was kind of an environmental slant on it. But what we came up with was Polaroids. So what we did was we got Polaroid cameras, loads of Polaroid, I don't know what they're called, the kind of Film, exactly, yeah. And then every time someone came to our stand, we had a dress up section. We got them to dress up, took a Polaroid of them and their family, and then we inserted it in this Polaroid kind of label that we got printed by a print house with our logo on it and then details about the event. And it was just so cool because like the families adored it, and they had this little token of themselves then to take away and put on their fridge. And, out of probably all the campaigns I worked on, I think that was actually one of my favorites by far.
Nice.
And like you to dress up.
I know.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. I was actually going to say, wigs, dress up, you don't do that stuff at all. What are you talking about?
I just had visions of you being the only one in the pictures.
Everyone got to take away a picture of me.
You're going to haunt them if you didn't go to that event.
Yeah. Jenny Byrne?
Look, do you know what? I think when I started out in digital marketing first, I had this really arrogant opinion of traditional marketing that has heavily shifted over the years. I was definitely that asshole who was like, what are you doing spending money on the newspaper? You just like run a digital ad and I'll be able to tell you what you got from it. And it was actually only when I started working with significantly bigger companies that I started realizing the merit of just how much this like actually impacts, especially because less and less businesses are doing it in many instances. So what I'll find is like, we've got, for example, we were working with this massive insurance company in the US. They were like kind of a Series B to Series C size, and like mail drop, fantastic. Worked extremely well. The CAC was much, much lower. And even in the last 12 months, like as my own kind of personal brand has started to grow, all of the digital side of things, I'm like, this year is the first time ever. And I know, Sian, you'll whack me over the head for saying this because I know we've had this conversation 100 times before, but this is the first time that I'm actually thinking about a little bit of PR. Like actually in the back of my mind, I'm going, that would actually be a really strategic move at this point, potentially. But like I definitely went through a personal transition of just being arrogant and just being like, that's ridiculous, to being like, actually, this is probably a really good idea and not enough small businesses do it, because I've seen the merit of it now with bigger businesses.
I was the exact same when I started, when I broke away, because I was doing the marketing for 96 FM, the radio station in Cork, and I broke away to the donuts and all stuff, and I went fully digital. I like you, all media. Like what? Like radio's dead, bro. Like I had actually released videos about it, talking about it, because I blew the brand up on social, and I definitely burnt bridges in my old job. Like I had people reach out to me saying you shouldn't be saying this and this. So I'm like, look, it is what it is. And now looking back with hindsight, I still think radio ads are a difficult game. I think live reads with DJs are perfect because people are listening. But I honestly believe with the likes of radio, I don't know, radio ads, they're very expensive. But yeah, I was saying like you, but just, I don't use much for my company. Like I would work on a few, like I would do photo shoots for magazines or like branding. Like there's a client of mine doing a mail drop soon, and we did the photo shoot for that and stuff. So I wouldn't have too much connection with it. But yeah, Jenny Azure, talk to us about how you use it for Azure, not for your clients first.
Oh gosh, I had an example for one of my clients. Okay. if we're not great, this is awful. We're not great at doing a lot of marketing for Azure. You know, when you're managing different clients, the clients just always come first. And that's one of our goals for this year, to get better at doing it for ourselves. So I don't have a brilliant answer in terms of like what we're doing for ourselves. But for clients, it's interesting. A couple of you mentioned mail drops, and actually that was going to be something I talked about later, and what pisses me off. But I'll just get right to it because you've mentioned it. But one thing that really, so it pisses me off. But this is a great way that I see people combining traditional with the digital, and obviously we do both. And as I mentioned at the beginning, print is something that we're so passionate about because we started that way. But still, we are first and foremost a data business. So when we do mail drops for our clients, so one example that's a brilliant example is Danish retailer Jysk is how you say it, but it's JYSK. And I actually worked there. I was a direct employee of them. I founded that brand in Ireland and so on. So I have a very intimate relationship with the data and from the client side as well. But long story short, they distribute about 1.5 million catalogues every month to homes around Ireland. And it's 3 times a month. And bloody hell, the results are insane. Now, they do exactly what you mentioned, Sian. It's all about time-bound offers, measurable. Like, how do they measure it? Making like that's when it works really well. But what I love about what they do and what we help them do is it's all so data-driven. The areas that the things are getting dropped to are matched to the digital campaign. So the geo-targeting is used for both. And then the whole response is just amplified, and it works unbelievably well.
And who doesn't love the juice coming through their door? Because I am obsessed. But you do, though. And I'm like buying a new office chair every 3 weeks.
Yeah. But the piece that pisses me off, just to already go there now, sorry for ruining the schedule, but people, when I mention this to people initially, they're like, kind of similar to what you were saying, Jen, like that whole reaction of like, oh, why would we do that? And the other answer that really annoys me is, oh, I get them and I throw them straight in the bin, so they don't work. And I'm like, you are one person, and yeah, maybe some people do that, but the results, speak for themselves. So yeah, 2 things in one there, Jay. What pisses me off and how I do both.
Yeah. You segued this in perfectly, segued in. But how, just my thought with those kind of things, and Jen, you might be able to help as well, with the ROI on that. How do you see the return? You're saying the return is massive, but how is it actually gauged? Is it the products that are noted in the catalog or seem to be selling a lot faster, or what's the word?
Yeah, so what they do, and I used to plan these out, so it's either an 8, a 16 or a 24-page brochure, and the items that go into that brochure have a very special price for a 7 or a 14-day window. So it's measuring the sales of those items at that special price. And it's 80% of the marketing spend goes on this activity, at least in Ireland, but also in most countries that they operate in. So that's how it's measured. And the other thing, like mail drop kind of has this reputation, I suppose, from the past of being like kind of crap, basically. They don't get delivered. They end up in a bin, this kind of reputation. But again, like there's things now that are used, like GPS tracking on all the people that delivered them. So we can do reporting on, here's the street addresses that they went to. And, like it's much more sophisticated than I think people realize, which obviously helps. But it's that combined with the digital then that really helps drive the ROI.
Cool. Sian, what pisses you off about traditional marketing, or the approach or the thought of traditional marketing, or was it something that pissed you off that you saw a campaign or something?
Yeah, I just think people in general. So bloody mindedness pisses me off because we can become so entrapped. You two have spoken about it already. This is the way we do it. Not going to open up. We're always talking about testing in social. Test traditional too. And it's back to that thing as well. I always laugh. I would have clients and I go, look, I really think a mail drop would be a really good idea. Like Jen was saying, I mean, it's so advanced now. It's not what we used to do 15 years ago. And they'll go, oh, I'll do it, Sian, I'll do it. Now, I was that person 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Walking the streets of Dublin for my beauticians. It takes hours. It is the most soul-destroying, horrendous thing ever. You can't do it yourself. You need it quick. You need to get it out there. If you worked out all the hours that it was going to take you to do it yourself for the areas that you're going to go to, you just can't. It's just such a waste of money. So, yeah, I think it's really something to test. And I think what pisses me off is when people just say no without giving something a chance, because it can work exceptionally well.
Nice. I'm going to tell mine as when I think a lot of people, also, and Jenny from Azure, you might help or give feedback on this. People underestimate billboards a lot, I think. I saw recently there was a phenomenal one I saw. And it was like compared. It was like Los Angeles. I mean, it was like 3 billboards in a row, but like it was Burger King had a big brand and a big looking burger and a beautiful thing, and there was Gucci and a bottle and like a model and stuff. But McDonald's had one then, and it was just red with just a slight line of the golden arch, and it just said "next right." And I thought it was genius because you knew exactly what it was. You knew that it wasn't. It was standing out so well in this world of like shouting brand, blah 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 blah. And it was like we're on the right, just next right, we're there. And I thought it was genius. So I think you can definitely play a lot more billboards these days. Even have QR codes for people to scan. Even these AR things that they come out. I've seen them kind of billboards where they come alive on the phone. You can scan all that kind of stuff. So that would be a thing for me. Do you think billboards a big thing for you in Azure, Jenny?
Yeah, and one thing that we're doing a lot more of is digital billboards, which are fantastic for certain clients. So, for example, some clients that work in maybe the pharmaceutical sector, like imagine hay fever, and the tablets or the medication is especially important on days where pollen count is high. So, using again that data, we can program these digital billboards to show the ad only on those days where the pollen count is high. And then similar, if it's like rain gear, when we know there's going to be, wet weather or whatever, they can show. It's another way of using them. And yeah, they're, again, like really impactful, and you do them very well as well. Similar to that McDonald's idea, but maybe less sophisticated, but kind of, in and around the locations where their stores are, and they're like directional signage, and it's literally driving footfall to their store, which is brilliant.
Yeah, class. Judie?
So I've got 3 things. Pull-ups piss me off, and not pull-ups in general. I don't mind when they're at the event to show you where to go and stuff like that. It's when like a client pays for a pull-up and they're making a video and they want to put the pull-up in the background of the video, and I'm just like, can we just get rid of pull-ups in videos, please? Second thing is bad design in general, and I'm known for that myself. And like all of my actual graphic designer friends are like, Canva is not design, and I'm like, it does for me, right? But like I can create some really bad stuff. But the real thing that annoys me is that like I don't know how to actually order something properly. Like when I was in big companies I did, but like I want to, do you know what I want to get is lens cloths, microfiber lens cloths, because not enough people clean their lens, and I want to put my logo on it. And Jenny is, or like I've had this idea for like 2 years, but like I'm like, as soon as I kind of Google prints in Cork or something like that, I'm like, oh, what if they're too expensive now? And then I'm wasting someone's time who has to go away and research these things for me. So I've kind of a barrier up to kind of getting in touch in case I don't go ahead with it. Does that kind of come up often?
Well, probably the people don't even come to us then for a quote because they don't even get that far. But like, we deal with quotes all day, every day, and a lot of it is very competitive, so it's no skin off our nose. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's part of our job. Like, I'm just saying in general, if you reach out to any business, like they want to talk to you, they want to try and get the business, and it's up to them then to give you a good price and good value and, win the sale really. So don't let it stop you. Just reach out. And I would always reach out, even myself, for my own stuff, like to 2 or 3 different businesses, and only one of them is going to get the job. So the other 2 are going to be a little bit disappointed, but it's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
I'll be on to you.
Yeah, too, yeah.
JB?
Yeah, do you know what pisses me off is actually before this podcast episode last night, I said I do a little bit of research around the power of brand and traditional marketing, because we've been talking about it a lot internally. One of our lead PPC experts has really been emphasizing the last few weeks of like rolling out a lot more brand and awareness campaigns, and his theory is actually being widely spoken about in the marketing industry at the moment, where everyone's opting for conversion focused campaigns. Fantastic. But that is a very tight pool of people on Facebook, and you're never actually getting more people into that audience. What we're finding is that brands that are working on conversion focused campaigns digitally inevitably are month over month actually having to decline their budget because the pool of people is actually getting smaller and smaller. So we have to like start building out better top of funnel brand awareness campaigns. And I was researching more about brand, and what's pissing me off now more so than ever is there's actually such a gap between the education between traditional and digital. I even went off looking for courses. Like I have no idea. Like I've been working in marketing coming up on 10 years. I have no idea how to put an advert in the newspaper. I actually just don't know how to do it end to end. The same way I would be able to do anything digitally. I've often even said to clients, don't bother going to X newspaper. I can put it in through Google ad placements and let's test it that way first, because I've always opted for the digital. But that being said, I came across this academic research paper, and it's essentially the power of brand over a 4-year period comparative to brands that didn't touch brand. And traditional comes into this so much because it's an awareness piece. But typically, brands that will put the budget behind brand, even if they can't have a measurable ROI over that 4 period, will typically be about 4 times bigger in the long run than a company that doesn't. And I just think there's no education piece around that. We're all focused on ROI, get your ROAS, marketing, don't go for the cowboys, make sure they can tell you the return on ad spend. When there's actually this huge long-term merit to brand that I didn't even personally understand until I read this paper end to end. So yeah, it's just a minefield, but I just don't think there's enough out there to educate both marketers and the general population in terms of business owners around brand, because I think the word on the street is always like, oh, they might be shady now. Make sure you get your return on ad spend. Make sure you know that number directly from them, and this, that, and the other. And it all boils down to that without any long-term vision. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And Sian,
Yeah.
you've just finished a course in MTU. Did they include anything like that in the course? Like, was there any talk of digital? Was there any mention, or was it, or not digital? Sorry, traditional, or because it was a digital marketing course,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was actually a digital marketing course, but at the same time, probably the last time they'll ever teach it that way, because we didn't, a lot of the things that we were doing have sort of seen their day. So I'm sure next year the course would be completely different. The use of AI and the other tools that we have and the new apps coming to market will definitely be different next year.
Okay. Judie, sell it to me or tell me something new. Now, this could be regarding to connection, like whatever you feel. This doesn't have to be traditional marketing through and through. It can be to do with social or whatever it is.
Are you looking to elevate your marketing and social media? Our podcast is proudly sponsored by Azure Communications, who have the perfect solution for all of your marketing needs.
Whether you need digital marketing, content creation, print, design, or direct mail, they have the skills and expertise to help you improve your brand awareness and drive business growth.
Get in touch with them today for a free social media audit, or to find out more at www.azurecom.ie.
That's AZURECOMM.ie.
Well, I think that, because I was actually thinking about this and I was like, God, everything, I've seen the power of a press release done by a PR company, and I've seen how they spin a story. I've seen how they write the hook like a lot better than I could. I might send them a draft, but they'll change it. They'll know what the editors want and stuff like that. And then they'll have the contacts book. So for not a lot of money, you can get things distributed, and that's, I guess, organic traditional marketing in a sense, because you're just getting into the newsfeed as opposed to paying for advertisements on the papers and radios. But we saw that when we launched the Story Of, which people just were fascinated by the idea. We got a PR company to distribute the press release, and got on News Talk, Ray Darcy, Ireland AM. It was insane. I suppose then though the issue is having enough of foresight. We were in such a rush because it was following an episode on Nationwide that we just needed to build a website that was fit for purpose, but we didn't have the strategy. We thought that we did, but we didn't have it ready enough we were collecting email addresses, and it really wasn't kind of the right way to go around. So I learned a lot for it. I suppose it's just if you have an idea, get help from a PR company or a marketing agency to get it out there for you, but then know exactly what your call to action is, which I harp on with videos all the time, but this was different. I was looking at it differently. So and then figure out your funnel to actually get them to where you want them to go. And it was just loads of people are interested. Now we just have email addresses. Okay, what do we do next? So I think it's just bigger picture thinking, which you can kind of forget about sometimes.
Yeah. I hosted an event, literally, it was the worst time for an event. It was February 29th, 2020, 14 days before pandemic.
Ooh.
And it was called FightCon, and very much in the same vein as Comic-Con, but for UFC fighters. meet and greets, handshake, hugs, photos. I'm like, I was like, oh, okay, cool, I guess. And like, so, but just whatever it was, we had some of the biggest names in UFC coming, which was amazing. We got some unbelievable names, and I was dealing with an Irish PR company, and I was dealing with an American PR company for the whole thing. So the Irish PR company, I didn't find very good at all. I actually told them after, I said, you weren't very good for us. I didn't think they didn't get it, and they kind of looked down on it because they're like, oh, UFC, like scumbags fighting this kind of, that was kind of approach I felt the whole time when talking to them. They're like, yeah, anyway. But then when we were dealing with the actual fighters and their PR, JC was the lady's name, and JC was unbelievable. JC is an absolute pro because she's Conor McGregor's publicist, so she is well used to a shitstorm. She was head of Nike's PR. She was Kobe Bryant's PR. So like, it was very interesting to see the difference in what, so I would say, a small fish in a small pond and a monster in another world. How the attitudes are different. How, because I think a lot of times PR, not PR, people in general, like Shan was saying, closed mind people, that affects everything because they're like, oh, UFC, MMA, no. But then the Americans are, this is a money making machine. Let's get behind it and promote it properly. So that was, for me, would be always be open minded and that kind of thing, and just be ready for it, because even if you're closed minded, someone else can make money off it. So be ready for that is what I'd say. Jenny Azure, sell it to me or tell me something new about the world.
Well, actually, I didn't find. Someone on my team found this only a few days ago. It's actually digital. It's a thing called Magic Brush. I don't know if you've come across this. It's a company called runway.ai. So Magic Brush allows you, it's like, in my world, right? It's like, think about Microsoft Paint. And you had your paintbrush, right? That really basic thing. So you take a still image and you use their functionality with this paintbrush functionality to kind of paint over a sky, let's just say, turns it into a motion graphic. It's absolutely brilliant. So just as an example, we have a ton of clients who are not willing to invest in content or, asset creation and so on, even though we harp on all the time that they need, video and nice imagery and so on. Some of them just don't have the budget, resource, time, whatever to do it. So we have a bank of images that are just so bloody stale, a hotel, for example, same images all the time. What this now allows us to do very quickly for our clients it doesn't cost them anything. We can do it in like 3 seconds. Is we can just blur let's say the sky and turn it into the storm we had. And then it's like a post about, hey, storm, whatever is here. Anyway, it's kind of nifty. I thought it was very fun and easy to use as well.
Very cool. What's the name again?
So the company is called Runway, but it's their new Magic Brush feature.
So magicbrush.ai.
I think it's runways, RUNWAYS.ai. They do other things, but then if you find, just search on the tabs for Magic Brush.
Class. Shan?
I've got 2 little things. So the first one is I just want to teach you to network, because we're talking about PR, we're talking about getting the name out there, we're talking about awareness. Like, you must feed the papers. So for instance, I'm forever giving the papers news about other businesses. If I see something that looks good, I might shoot it over to them and tell them. Another great way actually to get a PR release out is to look at who you're using for your photography and your video, because a lot of the press photographers have all the contacts. So I write my press releases, I get the photographer there, it's one fee then, and that goes out. And then the last one, actually, I'm going to nick this off Catherine Casey of the Marketing Club. She put up this week Predis.ai, and I've been playing with it for the last few days. It's an AI tool for your social media. You can put in a little bit like captions that we spoke about the other week, but it actually does everything. So it's for those people that may not want to show themselves so much. That's what I've been playing with it for. And I actually had a little eye-op this week, and I didn't want to be on camera for the last couple of days. And I have full kudos to people that don't go on camera, actually. It's a pain in the hole creating all this rubbish. It's much easier just getting on camera and talking about it. So Predis, Predis.ai, I think it's well worth a play with.
Class. Jen Byrne?
Yeah, so I've started, taking some sponsorship posts on my Instagram account recently, and I came across this tool. And it was actually, I don't know if anyone has listened to the podcast Everyone Hates Marketers, Louis Gagnier, the French guy. He's really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's well worth a listen. But I think lately he's been doing a lot of repeat episodes. I think he's gone more into the newsletter game. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. He actually uses this tool called Passion Fruit. It's like PASSIONFROOT as opposed to UIT. And we put a sponsored slot in his newsletter a few weeks back. And Craig, my business partner in the US, he was like, he's using this tool. It's really good. So it's called Passion Fruit. You went in, you click what you want. I want a newsletter segment. I want it here. And then you just pay through that and everything is done for you through it. And I was like, okay, fantastic. I'm going to get this set up for myself. And I think when you apply for it, as in like, it's not an open platform yet. You have to like put in an application to use it. And they released the access to me, but I can't wait for this to be more widely available. It is fantastic. So I go in now and I have like an inbox of like queries and they have to answer questions before they come in. Like, what's your budget? Why are you here? Why do you want to work with me specifically? And what is the goal of your campaign? Are you working with other influencers that you need me to sync up with? What kind of assets do you need? They can upload their logos. They can give me all of the content in a bank, and it connects directly with Stripe and everything. So everything just works through there. There's no back and forth. It's like, okay, we do half payment before, half payment after, which seems to be the industry standard from what I'm learning in the wild. And you can just hit, okay, here's $350 through from Stripe or however many dollars for payment up front, payment afterwards. And it is just completely seamless and nothing hits my inbox. And you all know I feel strongly about things hitting my inbox. So it's working really well. It's well worth checking out.
Do you pre-approve that campaign? Because like if it's a foot cream that come to you and want you advertising, you're not going to do it. But if they've paid, what's the story there?
I think we should ask Jen if she would do it. I think she would.
Imagine, here's my foot, everyone, all of a sudden, out of nowhere. This is my AI generated foot. This is what it says the cream would do for it. No, I've like nothing like that comes through. Nothing spammy comes through. It tends to be all AI or marketing tools, in fairness. But I have to approve the brief and the budget before they ever get any payment link. So it comes through to me and like you'll see ones come through and the price is just too low and I'll just decline it and say, look, unless you can come up to this, then it's a no game. But what I like about the budget piece is that like I kind of have a set budget in my mind that I'll either do a post or not do a post for based on like what I've kind of seen in the market. And it's amazing how many people will come in higher and how many people will come in lower. And I think I always know that a brand has worked with lots of other influencers that are roughly the same size as me when they come in on point of the price point, which is interesting. So it's interesting to kind of see where people fall because influencer pricing is, I don't know,
the
minefield.
Yeah, all over the shop.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's so varied. I can't get my head around it at all. Every time I go for a price, it's just a new number. It's like a lottery number.
Yeah.
For most of them. Not all of them, but yeah.
And agencies then don't help either when you go to an agency and they're like triple that price. You're like, what?
Yeah. Particularly one agent in Dublin. I won't name any names, but they are like, wow, know how to charge.
Yeah.
It's really hard because so like the process is longer than people think. I think, you know, so I'm doing a campaign this week actually with a national brand. But we've been working for the last 3 weeks on it. And they asked, I had the brief I created, then it has to go off, it has to get signed off, then they ask for changes, then it comes back. I mean, it's the same as if you're creating a video, a promo video. So, and that's not my field, but, I'm better at it than I was a year ago and much better than I was 3 years ago. But it goes back and forth. So it has to be signed off before payment, that first 50% is paid. And then your date is later. And then obviously you've got to take into account. So for instance, that my campaign goes out tomorrow. I can't work with anybody else in the same realm over that 7 to 10 days because it's just too heavy. Yet I've got another campaign which wants to launch tomorrow. So I lose out on that. So you're paying as well for the spot. So there is quite a bit to it. And that's why the pricing. But for me, when I'm working with small business, there's certain business I really want to work with and we'll make sure that, and I do like that idea, Jen, of what is your budget? because there's certain people you just really want to work with and you want to come in on their budget and help them.
We'll definitely do an episode later on about him, like a whole episode about influencers.
Yeah. It's like to Shan's point there, that's actually really interesting because I've like gone down on my price just to be like, I love that brand. I actually, you know, really want to work with them and like maybe get more posts out of them down the line and things like that. But pricing's so arbitrary in general. Like, when's the last time you made up a price for something? Like, everyone thinks that there's like this world of pricing where it's like, that is why coffee is €3.50 or that is why this is this. But actually, people just like the amount of pricing I make up on a daily basis, even for clients, is like, what are you selling that at? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe a monthly subscription of X amount? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's just see.
Yeah. And it's always the worst when you throw an answer out and they're like, yeah, okay, no problem. So you're like 5,000. They're like, yeah, perfect. You're like, shit, I'm charging.
Yeah. The speed of response is directly correlated to how like low you went.
Let's talk about goals for next year, or this year, I should say. Sorry, I'm going to start. It's to do with digital. I have to start putting my phone down more. I'm on my phone way too much already. And something I learned yesterday that I don't know if many people know is if you have an iPhone, you can go to your screen time and say see all web activity, and actually see how many times you picked up your phone that day. I was 138 times yesterday. I picked up my phone. Like, not good. I have 2 kids under 7. Like, what am I doing? I know I've work on this stuff, but there's the thought of, and I put it out to social and people laughed, but some people said they would, if you put all your social apps on an iPad and take them off your phone, where it's a dedicated spot where you go to twice a day, your iPad's there, you do your work, you upload, you do what you need to, and then you walk away. That
I was
would be what I'm
literally
looking at.
just about to say that. That's what I was prepping to say in my head. Jay, do you happen to have an iPad?
Yeah. Literally is what I'm thinking of doing, to be honest, because it's like TikTok is just death's door for me. I will walk in there and an hour and a half later I'll come out. I just can't stop scrolling. The last night I went to bed at 1:30, like, because I was scrolling TikTok. My wife was like, are you okay down there? I'm like, yeah, I'm just on TikTok. She's like, get in bed. Like, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah. I
anyway,
think we're all the same yeah.
this is the world we're in, isn't it? So
Yeah.
like, it's just, we have to be on top. Oh, geez, that happened, that reacted, we're this, and this, the trends, and like, nah. Jenny, is there?
I have a lot of business goals for Azure. You know, I'm only here since September, as I mentioned, so loads of goals in that space. But like, just sort of similar to what you're talking about, Jane. Like, I also have 2 young kids, and for me, you know, this whole idea of work-life balance, I don't really fully believe in it, to be honest. I think I'm either in work thinking about stuff I should be doing at home, or at home thinking about work. But I'm really trying this year to, it sounds really fluffy, I know, but just to be more present. You know, when I'm with the kids, I'm with the kids. When I'm in work, I'm at work. And then, yeah, I'm going to try to do that. And yeah, loads of big goals and ambitions for business. But yeah, they're kind of very obvious, you know, like grow the business, increase the brand, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, usual stuff.
I might have a look at that later, what you mentioned there, though, and see how many times I picked up my phone yesterday. I'm scared about the answer already.
Held the app as well that you went to. So a lot of it for me was WhatsApp. So I turn off all my notifications though. So if you need to get me, text me, SMS me. Do not WhatsApp, because I look at that once or twice a day now. It's too much.
Yeah.
JB?
Yeah, so all of the above, but actually I was listening to a podcast recently with the kind of lead data scientist from Whoop. So I ended up getting myself a Whoop, which looks ridiculous because now I'm using 2 smartwatches. I just need to know my exact heart rate at all times. But no, the interesting part of it is last night was the first night so far this year, because I've been trying to be really good with this, where I was scrolling late at night. And like that, I was just saying, I was like reading stuff in bed and I was just kind of like wired. And it is actually unbelievable the impact that it had. And I'd never looked at it from like a data perspective before, but like, where's the screenshot of it here now? But my recovery today, as in like, I'm wrecked today. I'm absolutely bait. Not sure if you can see this directly here, but look at the difference of last night to impact on my
Wow.
health compared to like every other day where I had like a full night's sleep, full 8 hours, didn't scroll on my phone for the hour before bed, screen time, nothing. And then last night I had screen time and it was like, I think it's like a 45% drop. in my levels of like
Same, like,
just ability to do anything today. So it's the first time I've ever seen it plain as day there in front of me. And it's actually kind of made me go, but the best thing about this is actually if you get their refurbed one, it's free. And then the first month is free. So I'm just actually using it for the month just to see what I can learn from it. I might keep the subscription afterwards. I might not. I think I just paid like the tenner for delivery or whatever it was. But like I already have made so many decisions around that where it's like, let's not eat because it's dark outside, or, you know, these little tips. But it has a little AI thing now that you can converse with. So it's like, why was everything bad last night? And it's like your heart rate was off, you were stressed. It looks like you had screen time before bed. You can even fill in like a little journal in the morning. A little thing pops up and it's like, say yes or no to these questions. It's like, did you have tobacco yesterday? Did you have alcohol before you went to bed? Did you have screen time? And it correlates it to when things went wrong for you in your heart rate and everything else. So it's the first time ever where I'm looking at my behaviors and being like, oh, there it is. You can't deny the cold hard data.
and that's Whoop, WHOOP, isn't it?
Yeah. So at the moment they're running a January offer where you can get the little wristband and get your first month free. So I'm just using it to benchmark where I'm going wrong in life. Existential crisis on my wrist.
Sian?
My goals. I don't have any this year. I just want to be. I worked extremely ridiculously hard last year. Everything that I achieved in that year, I want to utilize this year. So I want to spend more time podding, want to spend more time traveling, want to spend more time creating content and holidays. And DJing, obviously, and DJing. So yeah, it's all about having a bit of fun, doing more MCing this year. In fact, that leads me into really quickly because in 3 weeks, we will be on the 8th of Feb. I'll be emceeing for Azure and we're all going to be there apart from Judie, who can't make it.
Mad FOMO about this, yeah.
I know, for social sessions on the 8th of Feb. I'm really excited for this, actually. Really excited. We give people a real opportunity to talk through actually all the stuff that we're talking about today, traditional and digital, and give them the opportunity to ask us questions, which I'm really excited about.
We'll put the link for the event in the show notes below. And if you use the discount code POD20, you get 20% discount on tickets. And it's in the River, what's it called?
River
Class. Judie, goals for 2024. Jesus, 2020, lads, the last 5 years there.
Like I was really excited about this event. Something came up the day before that I actually can't attend. But like I was dying to see you in person. And I was also dying for an in-person event while I am an introvert and I don't like getting out a lot. There are times when I need it. And I feel like now is the time that I need to be in a room with other people and actually like working that area of my brain. But do you know what my goal is now? Get a quote for those flipping lens cloths because I have been thinking about them. Jay, you'd love one. And I'm thinking they go on, sorry now Jenny, but they go on a little key ring that go into a little bag that you can put on your key ring for, and then they've got a Vid Academy logo on the inside. Like this is my dream. So I'm going to make this happen. And pull me up on it, guys.
Yeah, even if you get like one done, you're laughing.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. You made life good, like. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We're going to wrap it up there. We appreciate Jenny from Azure coming on and chatting to us and all, giving advice and sharing all our stories. And we appreciate you sponsoring the podcast. We really, really do help. Really helps us and helps our listeners have more episodes out there. So we really appreciate you guys. Have a great week. Do leave reviews and likes and shares and comments and all this kind of stuff for us. Follow us on socials, all kind of stuff. We appreciate it. And make sure to check out the social sessions link down in the show notes. Pod 20, it's on the February 8th and kicks off at 9 o'clock, isn't it? On February 8th in the Riverlea Hotel. So make sure to join us and come here. We chat with us for coffees and stuff. It'd be great crack. Thank you again, Jenny. Thank you again, girls. We'll see you again next week and we appreciate you listening.
Thanks, guys.